Hey everybody, Thacia here with Legacy of Light in conjunction with One Love Wellness Center here in Menasha, Wisconsin, coming to you for one of my 365 days from my heart to yours. And today we're doing Fused or Free, Understanding the Path to Intimacy, and that is from If the Buddha Dated, a handbook for finding love on the spiritual path. So, the only way of full knowledge lies in the act of love. This act transcends thought. It transcends words. It is the daring plunge into the experience of union. To love somebody is not just a strong feeling. It is a decision. It is a judgment. It is a promise. And that's from Erich Fromm and The Art of Loving. No matter how you feel at the prospect of dating, clear and confident or nervous and tenuous, the task for all of us is the same: to walk the path of knowing who we are, learning to see others clearly, and dropping our images and expectations so we live more from our essence. This allows us to take the daring plunge into union. Differentiation is a psychological term, first used by the family therapist Murray Bowen, to describe the foundation of intimacy. Differentiation means that ability to maintain your identity when you are in a close relationship to other people or ideologies. You are able to rest securely inside yourself and not be swept away by the other person's emotions, opinions, or moods. At the same time, you are open to other people. Differentiation brings a spacious, open feeling because our mind is free. Fusion, the opposite of differentiation, is when you become enmeshed with someone. They have a headache, we take the aspirin. They're out of a job, we read the want ads. In many families, fusion is mistaken for love. If you don't get upset when I'm upset, you don't love me. If you don't want sex when I want sex, you are rejecting me. When we are fused, differences are seen as a threat because everything has to be either right or wrong. So if we have two different opinions, one person is naturally wrong. This attitude inevitably leads to arguing and blaming. And that's why fusion gets in the way of intimacy. It does not allow for two different people within two different ways of thinking, perceiving, or handling situations. And I feel like this is a description for a large percentage of the relationships today, and a large, pretty much all of what my other relationships had been. Because it was like the fusion of, the people-pleasing person wanting to do everything for that other person to make them happy, and then when they weren't happy, I wasn't happy, and then it's just like this perpetual cycle that keeps going back. So and it's that naturally someone's wrong or right, and I feel like looking back on some of these, like I'm still working through the issues, kind of like like something will come up and I'll think like, oh well, I need them to know that I was right, and then I have to, again, step outside and be that observer of that situation and realize that it doesn't matter, if I was right or if I thought I was right or, any matter. What matters is what I am going to now take away from that situation and how I, don't let it irritate me or annoy me anymore. Just it would come up and it was just like, oh yeah, like that happened, but it doesn't matter. Like I learned from the situation, and I am not going to continue that in my new relationships, because I don't need to anymore. I don't need to keep going over these same patterns. I realize it, I see it, and I'm choosing to move on, and I'm choosing to let that go. And I made all the choices to be in each one of those relationships. So I harbor no ill will towards these people. Like, even though for a long time I did in pretty much all of them. But I'm learning to just let that go, because it doesn't matter. And I'm the one who chose those relationships because of how I felt and how I viewed myself and how I didn't love myself enough. So it was my choice in all of that. So we all started life being completely fused to our mothers. Moving from fusion to differentiation is a development process that continues throughout our life. In fact, the process of differentiation completely parallels our evolution on the spiritual journey. Spirituality and differentiation are simply two frameworks for understanding the same concepts. Working with clients, I found that some people like a list that includes red warning flags, while others like a list that maps out where they want to go. In the list that follows, I lay out the traits of fusion without much explanation and follow them with the traits of differentiation. You might find it helpful to read these lists on a daily basis or pick out one or two items to focus on. And as a cautionary note, the ego, which likes categories of right and wrong, might jump to the thought that fusion is bad and differentiation is good. The point of these lists is not to tell you which is the right and which is the wrong ways to act, but to help you be mindful on a daily basis. There is no good or bad. There's simply what is that moment. We can only change what we are aware of. In Buddhist terms, we could say, don't be attached to where you are on the path. Simply bring curiosity and fascination to wherever you are in this moment. It's natural to slip and slide between varying degrees of fusion and differentiation, given the different situations and people we encounter throughout our day. So the traits of fusion are losing oneself in close relationships, second-guessing others, monitoring one's behavior to please others, and worrying what others think of you. So that is number one. And number two, having one's self-esteem, mood affected, infected, and affected by others' anxieties and worries. Number three, measuring self-worth by external validation, praise, grades, money, status, looks, weight, and so on. Number four, reacting unconsciously out of childhood conditioning, teachings, and trauma. We frequently have sudden flashes of fear, hurt, anger, fear, and resentment that are more intense than the situation warrants. And a lot of times, if we notice that, and as we become more aware, we are able to notice these things, and we can, just make a quicker effort to just, again, quick step outside and look and say, like, is this really like that, traumatic, or, is this a pattern? Is this one of my patterns? And as we recognize the patterns and we become aware of them, they will slowly, become less and less, and not only becoming aware, but becoming the observer and looking at them and just also accepting them for what they are and just being with them. So number five, blaming others. We perceive the world, people, and machines as doing it to us, rather than seeing our part in the dramas and the problems that we have experienced. And like I said, I definitely, thought, these relationships, is this person doing this to me, and how could they do this to me? Like I'm like this total caring person and giving of everything. Well, I gave of everything, and even, more so because I was wanting these things for myself, and I didn't realize that. So, now I am the observer and saying, okay, so it wasn't them, it was me and my choice. Number six, defensiveness in the face of criticism, different ideologies, approaches, and beliefs. Number seven, needing to be right or always believing we are wrong. Number eight, being dependent on others to comfort and soothe us. Because each one of us is the divine essence. We are God. We are the creator. So we have everything within us that we need. And once we realize that, and once we find that, then we can share experiences with our lover, with our friends, with those around us, and know that we don't need them, but we wish to enjoy them. Number 9, having difficulty giving to others or giving with an agenda. Number 10, bonding in righteousness, pain, or as victims. We portray ourselves as a wounded bird or a sorrowful victim of the life to invite sympathy or pity. Number 11, engaging in compulsive and addictive behaviors. Number 12, changing our persona or behavior to please or control others. Number 13, rescuing people, worrying for them, being overly dramatic about problems. Everybody has their own choice in every moment, just like we have our own choice in every moment. So we cannot be somebody's savior. We cannot be somebody's worrier. We cannot help anyone. They can help themselves and they can reach out to us. But we need to stop trying to rescue them. Number 14, staying in a harmful, painful relationship out of fear, dependency, or fear of being on one's own. And man, once you just let that shit go, like that's a huge one for me, just to be like, okay, I don't want to be here, nope. And just move on, because your divine essence is beautiful, and so is theirs, but they're helping you learn a lesson, and maybe that lesson is to stand up for yourself and to let go and to get out of that. There's nothing saying you should stay in an abusive relationship, something that doesn't bring you peace, something that doesn't bring you joy, something that makes you fearful. There is nowhere and nothing that says you should stay there. You have a choice. No matter what your situation is, you have a choice. If you need help, reach out to somebody. Find someone that can help you. But get out. It's your choice. So if you don't, you are choosing to stay there. And believe me, I know I've stayed in places that I didn't want to be, that I was afraid of, because I was afraid of lots of things. But once you leave them, you take your power back. And that's what the fear is telling you. You can take your power back. So the traits of differentiation. Number 1, maintaining one's center in relationships. This includes valuing integrity in all aspects of life and being able to define oneself, to say yes, no, or maybe. It also means being able to articulate your feelings, take good care of yourself, and be truthful, even when it requires bringing up difficult subjects. Having one's self-esteem and mood remain constant in the presence of others' anxieties and worries. We remain compassionate and supportive without becoming emotionally entangled when a friend or loved one is anxious, depressed, or going through a hard time. Instead of absorbing those feelings or feeling responsible to fix the problem or smooth it over or give advice, just remain that loving witness. Number 3, knowing that one's value is a given. Our self-worth remains a constant in the face of winning, losing, succeeding, failing, and pain or pleasure because we know our value is inherent in being alive. We are all sacred beings, interrelated to all of life. Number 4, developing a set of values through reflection, awareness, learning, and experimentation. Instead of relying on this external authority to determine our beliefs and values, we learn to trust our internal wisdom that comes through experience, contemplation, and meditation. Not thinking, not using the little monkey mind and the ego to make your plans. It is saying wisdom. And wisdom, I believe, is, knowledge that comes from the heart and turns into wisdom. This often means casting off much of what is learned by our families, our school, and our religious institutes. Number 5, feeling comfortable or fascinated by different theories, belief systems, and perspectives. Because we're secure in our own values and beliefs, it doesn't matter if anyone agrees with us or not. Differences are natural, unthreatening, and interesting. They offer a glimpse into another's world. Instead of immediately jumping into our armor, I do this way, we are curious. How does that belief work for them? How did they get there? What does it mean? So you're questioning instead of saying, oh, you have to believe what I believe. If we're going to be together, we have to have the exact same belief. Or, even many of your friends. Recognizing seduction, control, and manipulation. Ours, and then others. Spiritual warriors clearly see signs of manipulation and emotional seduction. Ours and others. Always, I love how that is first, ours, because the first person we have to look at is ourselves. So we don't trust blindly, we trust wisely based on reality. Likewise, we examine our motivations and don't con ourselves or hide behind a phony innocence, charms, or being naive. Being able to self-reflect and self-confront. Well-differentiated people routinely reflect on their behavior and confront themselves. How did I contribute to this problem, this dull sex life, this disintegrating relationship? Why do I stay with this mean-spirited person? We keep the focus inward, owning up to our mistakes, apologizing when appropriate, and leaving if the other person is harmful to us. So always, it is always us first, going within to, to find out what part that we have played to cause whatever actions are, coming out. And I would say too, not only just going back to contemplate, the things that we view are negative, but do it in times when your relationship is going really well, because then you can say, oh, give yourself some praise for the things that you are doing that you feel are right and feel that are working, and oh, I contributed in this way to make, this day really amazing, and it was really fun and enjoyable. So don't just focus on all the things that, we view as negative. Take time to focus on the positive things as well. So number 8, asking for and receiving support without feeling weak or compromised. Because we accept our humanness and fallibility, we reach out for help when needed. We realize that by receiving, we are allowing someone else to experience the gift of giving. The acts of giving and receiving join us together in a circle of connection. So 9, give without an agenda or feeling we are giving away a part of ourselves. Well-differentiated people take pleasure in giving from a place of abundance that is free from scorekeeping or hidden agendas. So just do, that's definitely what these, random acts of kindness have started at, is because you don't need to be known necessarily for this, and just do random nice things for your partner just because. Not because you're going to get something back, or like, you'll be like, oh, if I do this for them, then, they'll probably just do it because you want to do it, because you love them. Do this for your family, do this for your friends, for no other reason than just because, Every once in a while, for my kids, I would just buy them something, or, take them out to eat, or whatever. Just spend some time with them just because, not because, it was their birthday, or for any celebration reason at all, but just because I wanted to love on them, because I love them. So 10, seeing others clearly. As we differentiate, we stop categorizing people. We drop our expectations and preconceived beliefs and get to know them for who they are. This allows us to create true intimacy. So we stop viewing them with all these preconceived notions of, even like how we think they should react, and how we think. Just enjoy the person and allow them to be. Because each one of us, I know that I do, I want to be allowed to just be me, and to have someone just enjoy me for me. So I want to do that for someone else as well. And I want to do that really for everybody. And that's a lot of my time has been spent doing that. But a lot of it in the past was because I had, this low self-esteem, this low self-love. Now it's the opposite. And I still want to continue that. And I want people to know that they are accepted for who they are. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you've done, what you haven't done. And the reason why I wanted that so much is because I wanted that for myself. So when we can do that for somebody else, then it comes back in abundance to us. So number 11, learning to comfort and soothe ourselves when faced with stress or difficulties. When faced with anger, hostility, or trauma, well-differentiated people have the inner resources to calm themselves down and step back from the situation rather than reacting impulsively. And one thing that just came to my mind is when I was younger and single mom in it, and was having a difficult period with just 4 kids, and my mom was like, well, when they do something or they misbehave, she's like, you need to act and not react to them. So I needed to act like their guardian. I needed to act like their parent and not react, out of frustration or anger or whatever. Because, in the end, they didn't really deserve that reaction. And normally then when I acted, instead of reacting, like the situation seemed to smooth itself out, And it went much smoothly after, rather than the reaction, and then their feelings are hurt, and then it's a whole, turn of events, sometimes, could last, an hour or two or something, just when we just act instead of react to others' behaviors. And then just knowing that we have the control, we have the choice. We just need to step back and again, be that witness. Instead of leaping into an argument or losing our temper, we can slow down and not add to the ruckus or descend into someone else's state of turmoil. Overall, as we differentiate, we move from fear to excitement, from separateness, sometimes, separateness to connection, from insecurity to confidence, from seriousness to playfulness, and a light heart. We become able to step back and watch ourselves with a kindness, with curiosity, and a sense of humor. And for goodness sakes, like, I think, like, a lot of this seems like, so seriously, and I have to keep reminding myself to, don't take it so seriously. Because it's a learning experience, and it's not meant to be, like, always and forever, like, serious, I'm working on this goal, I'm going to fix myself, I'm going to be better, blah, 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 blah. Have some fun, enjoy yourself. And this is what relationships are to help you do as well. This puts us on a solid ground to create a vibrant, enduring relationship. When we are able to take refuge in ourselves, we can merge without fear because we feel whole, no matter where we are. Thus, in the healthy marriage, both partners bring the sum of what they are to the union, and each partner is enriched by the other. In order to achieve this union, each spouse must be open to the other. This was invariably true of the couples I met. They were accessible to each other, readily influenced by whatever the other might have to say. They listened to each other, and they watched each other, and they took each other in. And that was by Katherine Johnson, Lucky in Love. So within all of this, we need to remain who we are, because if we don't remain who we are, that isn't authenticity, and that can't create a basis for any lasting relationship, a friendship, a love relationship, any of them, co-workers. If we are continually pretending to be someone we are not, or fusing to the ideals and whims of the other person, we cannot understand the path of intimacy, and we cannot form a bond of a long-lasting relationship. We need to remain ourselves and yet, form this bond with that other person and accept them for who they are. And it's like, then we become this union, but it's a union of two. Like, there's still separate parts, just like we have everything within us. We have the masculine, we have the feminine, but it's all in us. No matter if we are male or female, we still have the masculine and the feminine within us. So this is like a good illustration for how we can be ourselves, and the other person that we are forming this relationship can be themselves, and eventually come into this union, and into this beautiful space where we are one and separate at the same time. So, fused or free, you get to choose. All right, thanks.